I work in AI, and when I meet people, I get two reactions. People either look at me like I'm about to steal their job, or they ask me to fix their printer. Now, I can't do any of this. But what I can do today is help us reimagine the future. Every time I look at these images of AI robots holding a baby, I can't help but think, who fed this baby? Who taught it how to love? Who decides what its future will look like? And does it know its cultural heritage? Because if innovation only works when we have perfect Wi-Fi, constant electricity, the right networks, that's not innovation. That's exclusion with better branding. I didn't want to go into technology. I wanted to be a pilot. I was determined to fly out of Africa if it meant I flew the plane myself. So I applied to Air Zimbabwe, did the aptitude test, passed with high scores, and I was ready. And then they measured my height. And they failed me on the height restriction. At the age of 17, I was 1.4 meters tall. I'm 1.6 now, so I did grow a little bit. But my dream was squashed. I was too short to face the future. Then I thought, I'll do anything to do with airplanes, air traffic control. My father laughed. And he said, you will get bored sitting in the tower, watching people flying on their holidays. Forget that. What about an air hostess? You see, what I wanted was the uniform, right? Those boots, those sexy mini skirts, the glamour, the travel. And my father said, an air hostess is like a waitress in a flying hotel. You might be bored in 6 months' time. Then I turned to nursing because my mother was a nurse. But that died on the vine as well because I fainted at the sight of blood. And then I heard about a thing called COBOL programming through the London Rhodesia Company. I went for the aptitude test. I passed the test with flying colors. I didn't even know what COBOL was. I had never seen a computer. But thankfully, my father was a chartered accountant. And he described this gadget to me. He said, imagine a cross between an adding machine and a typewriter. He said, technology is the future, forget about everything else. So I became a first-generation coder in 1986 when computers were starting, and it changed the trajectory of my life. Being in technology did a lot of things for me, but unfortunately, I was a terrible programmer. My very first program crashed. You know why? I forgot a full stop. That program looped and looped and looped, and somewhere in the building, everything stopped. And I remember sitting at my desk thinking, oh my gosh, I've just killed technology. And then my boss walked into my office. We'll call him John Parker because... And John was amazing. He saw something in me I did not see in myself. He said to me, listen, don't worry. You're already good with people. And he sent me for further training, and I ended my career as a systems analyst and a project manager in IT. You see, technology gave me access. It gave me mobility. It gave me opportunity and the skilled migrant visa that brought me to New Zealand in 2001. For 20 years, I worked across technology in systems, platforms, telecommunications, finance, healthcare, and government across the African continent, here in Southeast Asia and the Caribbean. But then I started to notice something as I flew back and forth between Zimbabwe and New Zealand to visit my parents. Technology wasn't changing life equally for everyone. Platforms were scaling, AI is accelerating, but inequality wasn't shrinking, it was widening. And then I understood something very uncomfortable. Technology wasn't failing. It was working exactly as designed. You see, when facial recognition systems misidentify dark-skinned people at a higher rate than light-skinned people, and when a refugee registration system requires Wi-Fi to continue, perhaps what technology is telling us is this: we weren't built for you. You don't exist in the future that we had imagined, and we just don't see you. And it's not about bad intent. It's about who was in the room when the system was designed and who wasn't. Most technology assumes the following: that you have constant internet, continuous electricity, formal IDs, credit cards, and English literacy. Now, is that fair? Is that neutral? In 2019, my body crashed. I collapsed with congestive heart failure in a rice field in Bali, Indonesia, while on holiday. Exhausted, divorced, and burnt out. That experience reminded me of so many things. How brief life is. We've been talking about death today, right? And then COVID happened, and my mother died. I couldn't even go back to Zimbabwe to bury her. I still haven't gone back. The day of my mom's funeral, I was so depressed. I woke up in the morning and I shaved off all my hair. I used to see it being done in Zimbabwe and I didn't understand as a child. But what happens with grief is that it strips you down to the very essential. Everything else is gone. And the only thing you can control is on your person, on yourself. And then I had the weirdest dream. A few days after Mom's funeral. So I was alone in Wellington. My boys were here in Auckland. My sister was in Sydney. I have a brother in Canada. We were all over the place, and I have one brother in Zimbabwe, burying our mother alone. And in this dream, I was brushing my teeth in the morning, and I spat into the sink. And when I looked up into the mirror, the person looking back at me wasn't me. It was my mother. And she was healthy and vibrant and laughing. And I said, "Mama, where are you?" And she said in a very excited voice, "Do you see, baby? Do you see what I did?" I'm like, "Mom, what are you talking about?" She said, "I made you look like me so that you will always remember I have not gone anywhere. I am with you, I am in you, but you need to get up and finish this work that you've started." She said, "So long as you're 6 feet above the ground, your job is not done." And I snapped out of that state of depression. You see, I was my mother's mini-me. I was a duplicate copy of her. And that dream was not about grief. It was about inheritance and legacy. Because my mother learned survival from her mother. My maternal grandmother was an amazing potter. She used to make clay pots without a wheel to perfection. She was an amazing storyteller. She could hold you in the palm of her hand with her stories for hours. On my father's side, I never got to meet my paternal grandmother. She died before I was born. But I used to hear stories about her. She was a bone collector who lived near an abattoir. And she would collect the waste bones that were thrown away. And she would wash them and sell them to a manufacturer who made cups and saucers out of bone. The small pieces she kept. She would burn them in the fire until they turned black, and then she would polish them, and she would etch these intricate designs. And she would sell this jewelry, bracelets, necklaces. Today, those pieces would have sold for hundreds of dollars. My grandmother's intellect could have been sold as lectures in universities to students learning sustainable fashion in Paris. There could have been video courses. Their knowledge would not have had to be physical products. They could have made money with no shipping, no logistics, no middlemen, no borders. But their intelligence was treated as craft and not capital, and they died in poverty. I believe that this is what we lose when indigenous knowledge is not captured, valued, and scaled. Not because it isn't brilliant, but because systems don't see people like us. So I returned to technology, and I've been working on building a platform called Soko. Soko means marketplace in Swahili. We're empowering creators to get access to the global market through conscious design. We're building something so simple, it's designed for the realities of our people and where they actually live. It works without constant internet, on very basic phones, and in local languages. It connects people, especially women, to literacy, to business education, and to the global markets without forcing them to leave their communities. So here's the problem. There is a structural gap. Creators in emerging markets earn cents on products worth tens and thousands of dollars on the global market. I believe that we lack access to the global market because of poor and no connectivity, no computers, no digital literacy, zero training or onboarding, and no platforms designed for their context. We are impacting global change. For example, the earrings I'm wearing. I met this woman. She was selling these earrings for 30 cents. I bought 200 pieces, brought them back to New Zealand, started selling them online for her, and she started getting $30 from 30 cents. That is 100-time income improvement through access, visibility, and support. So that's not charity, that's inclusive innovation. And I was one of those women. I paid for a 4-year business degree in Cape Town, selling in the craft markets, my earrings, my jewelry, my clothing, my textiles. What I'm wearing today is one of my designs. And I always knew my work was worth so much, but I had to accept whatever I could get at that time. So the global market for craft and cultural goods is enormous. Yet African creators still capture a very small fraction of that value. And that's not because of lack of talent, it's because of lack of access. In my culture, we have a philosophy called Ubuntu. The literal translation of umuntu ngamuntu ngabantu is a person is only a person through other people. It's our way of expressing the condition of being human. I am because you are. In Ubuntu, there is no you, there is no me, there is only we. And Ubuntu reminds us that progress is collective, that dignity is shared. And Ubuntu plus AI asks a very different question. Not how fast can this scale, but who does this include? Because what I've seen is that talent is universal and access is not. And the inequality is often a design failure and not a human one. So here's my invitation to you. Whether you're a technologist, a business leader, a policymaker, or a consumer, the next time you encounter a new system, a new platform, or a new product, don't ask how advanced is this. Ask, who does this serve? Who does this exclude? And whose knowledge might disappear if we don't act now? Because the future will not be judged by how intelligent our machines become, but by how human we choose to remain. And if we design for dignity, access, and belonging, we won't just build smarter systems. We will build a future that finally recognizes all of us. Kia ora.